and snap your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, on the day they never seen that. Ain't back, throw and snap your fingers, then you lean back.
Hello and welcome to Viti Vibes TV, your only youth show for Fijian youth. If you'd like to be a part of the show, please call us or let us know. And I'm your host, Pranay Sharma. We're broadcasting from the unceded territories of the Kwantlen, Silvertooth, and Squamish nations. We are grateful for the first people of this land and for them to share their sacred land and territories with the non-indigenous people. As this is the new year, let's all commit ourselves to do one thing, and that's for climate change. We want to leave the space better than how we found it, and climate change is a global initiative. We should all be responsible for our own actions and reactions towards the climate change. No show is complete without our support from our sponsors, so if you'd like to support the show or any other show that you'd like to watch on the weekly basis, please call us, and for the numbers, it's all in the credits.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005.
Arvind's Curry and Cocktail, Indian cuisine. They do catering for all occasions and they do free delivery. Please call 604-515-1070. Address is 420 6th Street, New Westminster. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. For deliveries, call 604-515-1070 or arvindscurry.com.
Bollywood Banquet Hall and Conference Center, located at Pile Business Center at 201-8166 128th Street in Surrey. No celebration is too small to accommodate you. They have newly renovated 2 halls to serve you, up to 1,000 guest capacity, top-notch chefs to delight you with delectable and heavenly cuisine. So just call Bollywood Banquet Hall at 604-598-2700 for your events.
Benisi Mobile Detailing Services. They offer commercial trucks, cars, SUV, boats, bikes, RVs, and much more. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859 and they will do all kind of services at your home.
Now we have our director Shannon Pramal in our studios, and let's see what she has in store for you.
Hello, and welcome back to Viti Vibes TV. I'm your director and host, Shannon Pramal. Thanks for sticking around with us yet another week. You can watch our episodes every Thursdays at 10 p.m. or Sundays at 4:30 p.m. only on the Shaw Multicultural channel. If you miss our episodes, do not worry. You could always catch us online as well. You could search for our YouTube channel at Viti Vibes TV, or you can follow us on our social medias on Facebook and Instagram, also at Viti Vibes TV. That being said, today I'm joined by none other than my lovely co-host here, Shivangni, and we're here today to talk about mental health. So, for those of you that may or may not know, Bell Let's Talk Day is coming up, and that's typically on January 25th, and it's hosted every year. So, what is Bell Let's Talk Day? Well, for those of you that don't know, it's basically a day to raise awareness around mental health issues and struggles, and what we can do to overcome that. So one of the things we do, it's called Let's Talk Day because it's more so about talking and breaking the stigma and raising awareness for mental health and destigmatizing it by raising awareness. So with that being said, hello, Shivani. Thanks for joining me again today. So, Bell Let's Talk Day, have you seen this social media thing before in the past?
I have. They have a Snapchat filter that you can look at as well. And I think they have an Instagram story where people just like tag or at the Bell Let's Talk and it just goes on their story. Like it's a worldwide story that they do. I don't think I've seen it on Facebook, but they probably do have it on Facebook though. Yeah. So basically, it's a pretty big social media thing for sure. And we see like all our friends and families definitely sharing that as well.
I think the best thing about it is because we are talking about mental health, and even the people that are just like reposting it just because like, okay, everyone's kind of posting it, like, if you like, it's raising more awareness, and it's like marketing in a sense where it's like, okay, when people are kind of raising awareness for mental health, like, what are they reposting, right? And so when it comes to mental health, first and foremost, how would you describe mental health?
Mental health is something that I think everybody experiences without them knowing as well.
Mhm.
If like you know or don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something that's very important to be educated on,
Mhm.
because not a lot of people know what they're going through
Mhm.
mentally, and they don't know how to like have help for it.
Yeah,
in a
no,
way.
that's totally true. And you know what? I love the fact that you brought up education. And we could probably talk about that a little later. But education is such a big thing too that I think is lacking as well, which is why we always have like this stigma around mental health, because we don't talk about it and it's not being taught to us either, right? But like you said, mental health is something that we all have. And just like your physical health, it's just another component. So you have your physical health, you have your emotional health, you have your mental health, right? And it's just one of those things. It's just, we all have it. And we all need to take care of it. And I know a lot of us, when we get hurt, we go to the doctor, right? Because physically we're hurt, we see that we're hurt. You can see someone else that's hurt. So you tell them, go to a doctor, go check it out, right? And then when it comes to mental health, though, because it's not as visible to everybody, it's quite hard to even in yourself figure out what's kind of going on with yourself, because mental health is like, I guess in a sense, like the construct of it is pretty like vague, but obviously there's mental health issues that have a little bit more of a solid description and criteria to meet, right? But it's not as easily diagnosed because it takes, like, each person's mental health is different, and everybody takes things and internalizes things differently and experiences things differently. So everyone's mental health is kind of like on a different page, right? But everyone has it nonetheless. So first and foremost, how does not taking care of your mental health lead to like bigger issues, you think?
It's by one, not knowing that you have mental health issues, and two, not going to either a psychiatrist or any like doctor in a way that actually like helps you,
Mhm.
or just counseling. Like not taking the help that you need can make it into like a big issue.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think with mental health, we definitely need to also recognize, like, I think that's a big thing too, especially for like men, for example. They don't feel that they could reach out or seek help as easily as women can. And that's just statistics. Like, lots of surveys have proven this to be true as well. But yeah, when it comes to mental health, and like how it becomes a bigger issue, for example, I like to use like the physical health thing, right? So if you saw your foot is sprained, right, and you didn't go to a doctor to check it up or like wrap it or something, right, and you're just like walking and like playing soccer and with that sprained foot, right, then you're gonna hurt yourself even more, right, and you're gonna tear something, and it just gets worse, right? It becomes a bigger injury that was left untreated. In that same way, mental health, if you leave your mental health issues untreated, it will get worse, and it could lead to worse things. For example, it could lead to substance use and substance abuse sometimes. And that's how one way of many other ways that it could lead to a darker tunnel if you don't take care of your mental health. But I know within our community, mental health and talking about mental health is definitely a challenge in itself.
Oh yeah, it is, of course.
Yeah. So how do you think our community deals with the idea of mental health, or like conversations around mental health?
It's either one, you're crazy, two, it's all bhoot pret, puja part, all that stuff. That's where it comes from, honestly. That's how that's what I've seen in the experience. That's literally where it like comes from, and like that's how in our community is dealt with. It's not talked about, it's not talked about, that you need to go to the doctor, you need to go see a psychiatrist, are you taking counseling in school?
Oh yeah.
Like, right? No, it's like you're crazy, or you have some type of jadoo tona bhoot pret or something like that on you, and she's like, that makes no sense, you know?
And you know what? I remember So basically, for those that don't know or are just joining us or new viewers, so Shivangni and I have been a part of also other mental health organizations and had our own projects as well going. And I remember this is at a mental health ambassador picnic that we've had. We did this activity where we got a piñata, but we got notes and got everybody to write like stigmas in our community about mental health. And I just remember reading some of those out loud before I put them in the piñata, so that way we can smash the stigma.
Yeah.
So that was the concept of it. But there's this one, it was just so funny to me because it was so true. It's like, you don't go to the mandir enough.
Exactly.
You don't do enough puja paat.
Yeah.
Like you don't go and pray. You're not spiritually or religiously invested. That's why you're just like not okay. And I think that's something that's like definitely like spirituality and religion can definitely help your mental health, right? For sure. If that's like your thing, right? However, telling someone that, oh, you're not religious enough,
it's not.
That's the reason why you're like the way you are.
Yeah.
That's just invalid.
It's so invalid.
Sorry to say, but that's invalid.
I mean, yeah, some people do it like puja paat and like prayers and stuff just to find peace, but at the same time, if you're just gonna force someone into it,
you can't diagnose a mental health issue.
you can't diagnose a mental health by taking them to the mandir or this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. Horoscopes and stuff is like, if you
that's a
believe
thing.
in that,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
a thing. You believe in that,
Teach their
fine.
own.
But some people go way too in depth in it, and then they just lose that concept of peace and spirituality.
I think for a lot of our community, the science behind it is not as focused on as it is like anything else.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. When we say like, oh, like you're crazy because you don't do puja or whatever, right? It's like, no, like there's science behind it. Like I feel X, Y, and Z because of this experience, this thing that happened, whatever. But it's like, no, you just didn't go to the mandir, that's why. Or you didn't go to church today, that's why. Like,
I get that lecture every Fridays. if I'm like, whenever I'm home on Fridays. It's always on a Friday, I get that lecture.
Yeah, but it's crazy.
Puja? Did you clean it? Did you do this? Well, I have homework. Come on.
No, but like definitely like making that the reason why that's like one thing that I've come across too for sure. For our older viewers actually, because I know the first thing for like why I think there's a an issue and challenge with communicating mental health and like raising awareness or like talking about it. Like, say, example, to our parents or to our grandparents, right? The biggest issue is language barriers.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Communication, right? Because if you're not able to explain it, like, how is that going to happen? Shivangni, your Hindi is a lot better than mine. I'm just going to say that for the record. If I asked you, like, in Hindi, how would you describe mental health? Like, if you had to explain it to, like, your nani or nana or, like, aji dada or someone, like, older that doesn't speak English, the construct of mental health, how would you describe that?
I would literally have to explain it to them where they would be like, the only way they understand is like a mental hospital. That's the only thing they understand about it. Okay. So if I had to explain like my nan, especially my nanny, she's like the clueless out of everybody. So if I had to explain my nanny, I'd be like, oh yeah, उसके कुछ दिमाग में कुछ problem है, तो उसके उला अस्पताल जाए पड़ी, जन कुछ emergency बगल में mental वाला. That's the only way I'll explain it, and then she'd be like, oh, okay. Okay, but if you had to explain like mental health itself, like the concept, if you had to define it, then I wouldn't be able to, because then she'll be like, she'll still won't understand, especially my grandparents. Out of everybody, they won't understand, even though I'll be like, okay, तो इसके कुछ इसके मांगो ऐसे रखो, इसके light नहीं मांगो, like people with like ADHD, you're not supposed to like have too much light or anxiety. You're supposed to keep them calm and stuff like that. They wouldn't understand it either. Even if I try to explain it, they'll just turn and look at me and be like, तुम पगली है, तुम चुप हो जाओ, तुम चलो उधर. Then I was like, okay, fine. There's no point me explaining. Yeah. No, language is such a big thing. Yeah, and I think that's the main reason, if anything, why it's so challenging to have these conversations. One, they're difficult to have too, because it's like, okay, you're talking about your mental health. That's something that's very personal, right? And something that can get very deep and dark sometimes, right? Which is in itself pretty hard. But at the same time, it's like, how do you explain
Like, how do you explain, right? Because even for me, just sitting here thinking, I asked you that question because honestly don't know how I would even answer that question, right? Like, how do I explain it? I'll be like, दिमाग में कुछ like problem है.
yeah,
Like, I don't know.
My
like,
mama, mommy guys, yeah, I'll explain it to them because they'll understand, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like senior citizens in your family, it's so hard to explain things to them
Right.
because they don't know how to let go what they've been taught all their lives and like adapt to the new environment. The only way
mental health is a new construct for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's a new concept altogether. And I think the reason is because we now have like language for it in English, for example, right?
Yeah.
We know what depression is, anxiety is, blah blah blah. And like there's all these certain symptoms, right, that go into like diagnosing depression, anxiety, whatever. But if you were to do that in our language, like we can't just be like, oh, what's depression? It's like depression. Well, how do you explain anxiety? Like, डर लगे,
like depression will
see,
be like
and we start explaining symptoms. There's no word for it that we know of, at least in Fiji Bot, right? In Fiji Hindi, like there's no words for these like diagnosed illnesses, right? But like we can describe the symptoms, which is the first step, I think, for sure. Having to explain like, okay, there's like these symptoms that go into like explaining someone has depression or whatever, right? I think if anyone knows what the actual words are, please let us know, because we would love...
Hindi or Shuddh Hindi, that works too.
Yeah, anything, because we would love to know, and we're here to educate each other for sure. Yeah, you could always reach out to us, again, on our social medias at Viti Vibes TV, or you could also reach out to us via email at vitivibestv@gmail.com. Would love to know, because we, even here as youth, and I think if I were to ask any other youth too, they would also be struggling to like, because it in Canada too, all of our youth, like not all of us get that whole experience of like learning the language, right?
Yeah.
And I could say the same for myself. Like we were so taught to like be good in school, make sure you're getting good grades, and in our schools it's English, right? So it's like you're either or French or Spanish or whatever you're learning, right? So honestly, sometimes I feel like my French is better than my Hindi. Like it's just bad.
It's not that bad.
It's whatever. But like if you like in times like this where it's like I want to explain something in Hindi, right? And it's just like, how do you explain mental health? Like it's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, so I think definitely language is like one of the many challenges that come with mental health for sure. But again, like having these conversations, figuring out what languages, hopefully we could do that together as well and find some resources that are able to help us communicate better. I know there's definitely a bunch of outreach projects too, like for example in like the Punjabi community here in our local Fraser Valley, Fraser region. These guys, there's like a group called the South Asian Mental Health Alliance. They literally go into the gurdwaras and they explain, because they have a better, I guess, grasp on like explaining in their language.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we're kind of lost, and that's something we need to work on for sure. But yeah, like that language, again, big thing, and why I think all of us suffer a little bit more because it's so hard to have those conversations because of that language barrier. But yeah, that's one thing for sure. Ethnic minorities, it's just a fact at this point. Ethnic minorities are more likely to experience mental health issues compared to white people. How do you feel about this, and like why do you think that's the case?
I feel the case is because of we've immigrated to Canada in a way. Like we've like our parents immigrated to Canada, so they have to, adapt to this new world, and like from that comes with like so much stress and so much like, oh my god, I have to be a certain way, I have to be a certain this. So I guess like that just takes a toll on mental health for them, and I think that's why it's like that I think minorities are more, and it's really scary. Like nowadays we have so much resources, but yet it's still ethnic minorities have more mental health issues than white people.
And I think the reason that comes with it is because of generational trauma. I think that's what you're trying to get at, right?
Yeah, that too.
I think specifically when we're talking about issues that affect our community, generational trauma is like one of them for sure. And like you said, like it's that whole immigrant struggle too that factors in, where it's like our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, or whatever, they've been taken on a ship from India to Fiji, right? went through the indentured labor system, and then went through the coups in Fiji that happened there too. There's a lot of tension between the two ethnic populations in Fiji as well, having to endure that, and then just even like from going to Fiji, going to Canada now, and like having to be like they're always just been on survival mode, right? And it's like that fight or flight response situation too. Like they had to just fight, like and just be as resilient as they were. So shout out to our ancestors for that. And yeah, it's like that's definitely like one of the bigger issues that I think is a part of it, and it affects us as offspring as well, and it continues to affect us because in like I'd say for like our grandparents, our parents, they never got a chance to like actually like sit down with their feelings and like get to think like, okay, like I can like what can I do for my mental health? They don't think like that, right? Yeah. They're just like, okay, I gotta go to work. I have to feed the family. I have to do like it's always go go go. They're fighting to survive, right?
And I guess like when they take that break for mental health, they'll be like, okay, chalo mandir. That's my way.
For some, maybe.
Yeah, for some, that's my family.
But like it's just like they've always been fighting, and we, as their offspring, like they're telling us like, okay, you gotta like get it together, right? And if we don't at some point break that generational cycle of trauma, then it's just gonna keep going, right? So it starts with us. It starts with you as well. Having these conversations, that's the whole point about this day as well. To raise awareness, not just that day, like on January 25th, talk about it every day. Yeah. And as you can see, if you're a returning viewer, we talk about mental health here a lot and different mental health issues as well and struggles because it is as important as your physical health. And I cannot stress that enough for sure. So let's talk a little bit more about what are some simple things. We'll start off with simple things that you could do for your own mental health.
I guess like if you're in school, like if you're in high school or like going into high school within a year or like even in college, I think like taking like and you know that like I'm struggling in something or I'm not, you know, feeling the same or like I'm having too much like stress on my mind. I think taking a trip to the counselor's office at least once is a good thing. Like I used to think that was a bad thing, but until I took one trip to the counselor's office, it was just like, oh, I have someone to talk to kind of way, like in school, right? So I feel like taking a trip to the counselor's office, taking that resource that you have in school is good. And I guess like outside of school, having, I guess like, I wouldn't know outside school, but there's like a lot of like
in the if you're local here in Surrey, there is a mental health clinic here in Surrey that's attached to the Surrey Memorial Hospital, next to the emergency, and across from that there's several counseling offices. Like there's a big plaza, counseling offices, counseling services, and substance use resources as well, over there. Definitely like a lot of things here. You always have to do your research as well to find what works for you. And at the same time, when you reach out for help, sometimes what they recommend isn't going to help you. So don't feel discouraged that, okay, like I was told this, but it's not working. You have to keep trying. And sometimes you're just going to fall off. But again, taking care of your mental health is also a roller coaster as well. Like you're never always going to be good. There's going to be days where you're not feeling your best, and that's okay too. But recognizing at what point do you need help and reaching out for that help is definitely important for sure, and something I would like to emphasize as well. But yeah, I like how you mentioned like as a student,
it's hard,
your timetables. I feel like that's a big thing for being able to like take care of yourself in like the like long term or short term, I guess, for semester purposes. But yeah, like just mapping things out. Okay, am I going to be super stressed by this like 4 or 5 courses, like if I were to take them all at once, or should I just do 2 to 3 instead, right? Just so I can focus a little bit more, do a little bit better, or like because I have work and stuff like that, right? Just taking a good look at your schedule and prioritizing your days. I personally am a book agenda like a physical agenda person. So I always buy my pretty agendas like at the end of the year and use them for the year. I know a lot of people have their phones for that. This is also pro student tip.
I have like a whiteboard at home where I like, write my schedule.
Writing things out definitely helps for some people for sure, because visual learners, right? But yeah, it seems like that we're just about to run out of time though. I feel like we could keep talking about this forever, but do you have any last words that you'd like to say?
I guess just if you need help, take the help you have around you and seek help, because don't sit with it until like it's too late to get help. And I guess just take time for yourself. Don't overwork yourself.
Yeah. My last word to everybody is talk about mental health every day. To your friends, to your family. Ask them how they're doing, but not just how am I doing? Oh, I'm good. How are you really doing? Ask them, get into those deeper questions with some people, because that's the only way. If we make that more normal about asking people how they really are, then that's the only way we're going to be able to normalize it and destigmatize the whole concept of mental health issues. So with that being said, thank you all so much for joining us again yet this week. You can catch our episodes again Thursdays at 10 p.m. or Sundays at 4:30 p.m. on the Shaw Multicultural channel. But until then, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Shannon. We have some announcements that you may be interested in participating in, so please have your pens and papers ready. PIC's Mega Job Fair is on February 8th at the Italian Cultural Center in Vancouver. Address is 2075 Solcan Street, and there will be over 100 plus exhibitors to draw thousands of job seekers from all over the Lower Mainland. For more information, please call Lily Dadrell at 604-596-7722. Chicken Chops Way Food Drive is on Saturday, February 4th from 12 to 4 p.m. at 8474 116 A Street in Delta. This is raising funds for the Fijian girls soccer team that is going to be going to Fiji in July 2023. For donations and more information, please call Ronald at 604-789-8885. The countdown to March 3rd to 5th, 2023. Rugby Sevens, as most of you guys know it. There will be over 60,000 fans, 352 players, 28 teams, and a 3-day event on an epic weekend. Reserve your tickets by going to tickets@canadasevens.com. We ran out of time for today's show, but if you enjoyed our show as much as I love bringing it to you, please make sure you guys watch it whenever you guys can. And it's always on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Alberta time if you missed our show. No show is complete without our support from our sponsors, so if you'd like to sponsor this youth program, please call Camila at 604-537-5123. And before I leave, I'll leave you guys with these thoughts. Sometimes you have to do what is best for you and for your life, not what's best for everyone else. The author is unknown. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and a great rest of the year. Talk to you guys soon. See you guys.
Ain't fat, double shot your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, going to they never seen that. Ain't fat, double shot your fingers, then you lean back.